The Celtics are 32-0 in franchise history after leading a series 3-2, but will that goose egg become a 1 on Sunday at the hands of the Magic? Hey, how are you folks? Jason Horowitz, glad to be with you here on CBSSports.com with your preview of Game 7, Orlando-Boston from Boston, Sunday night at 8 o'clock, the winner to meet Cleveland on Wednesday in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's bring in our CBSSports.com NBA columnist, Ken Berger. And Ken, the Magic responded. Everybody called out Dwight Howard after he publicly criticized Stan Van Gundy, and he responded. How did the Celtics try and shut him down in Game 7?
Well, they're not going to change. Boston is going to play him the same way. They're going to put Kendrick Perkins on him. They're going to try to keep Perk out of foul trouble. They're going to help aggressively and double when he gets the ball down deep. There's really not much more they can do. It was really all about Dwight Howard's aggressiveness and his ability and really his willingness to use his athleticism and his quickness, to get a lot of garbage baskets. He had 10 offensive rebounds in the game, and he'd been averaging about 3 the rest of the series. And that was something that Stan Van Gundy was really harping on. It's not about getting touches in the paint. It's about creating your own touches. And, Stan was right on this one. And Dwight Howard was also right. It was kind of an interesting thing, that they went through over the last 48 hours. I imagine that regardless of whether it's settled or over for good, they're both happy with the win.
Hey, Ken, a lot of talk about heading into Game 6 about the fact that the Magic couldn't figure out ways to close out games. They'd let the Celtics back in. Maybe the series should have been over. Now that they have figured out a way to come back and then take a game when they were down, when they were facing elimination, how does that emotion carry over to Game 7?
In this case, this is unique because it is a Game 7. Normally, it would carry over from a Game 3 to a Game 4 or 4 to 5, but Game 7 is a totally different animal. I think they're going to come into this game with confidence that they, didn't let one slip away, that they were able to hold on to a lead. They were able to actually come back from a 10-point deficit in the third quarter, and I think that's going to help them to a degree. But when you're talking about Game 7, it's just a different environment, and they just don't have the Game 7 experience that the Celtics do. The Celtics have been through these before. That doesn't mean Boston is going to win this game, because Orlando, if they play the way they did and Dwight Howard asserts himself the way he did in Game 6, they're going to have a very good chance. But I don't think you can assume that Orlando is going to protect the ball the same way and rebound as effectively and just do all the little things in a very hostile environment in a situation they've really never been in before as a team.
Ken, when you look at the Celtics in this series, they've had their wins in large parts of role players. Eddie House, Glenn Davis, Stephon Marbury. You come to a Game 7, you need to rely on your stars. Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, who has certainly struggled in this series specifically and was really awful in Game 6. What are you expecting out of those two guys in Game 7?
Well, it all depends on how much rest they need. They're going to get a little bit of a breather because you're going from you have about a 48-hour window here, and the Celtics really need it. They look like a team that was gassed in Game 6. They played so many minutes. I mean, they had 7 overtime periods in the first round against Chicago. Now they're going to, they're pushed to 7 games for the second straight series. They look like a tired team down the stretch. Now, Ray Allen, and the reason you know that with Ray Allen is because he just does not shoot 5 for 36 from 3, and that's what he is in this series. And that tells me one thing and one thing only. Well, 2 things. It tells me, A, Orlando is defending him extremely well. There are times when they won't even let him get the ball coming around a double screen. And the other thing it tells me is that his legs are tired. And that's just natural. Boston's an older team. They've played a lot of basketball. It will be interesting to see if they have enough legs left in Game 7 after getting 48 hours off to try to close this thing out.
Ken, we've talked about a team having the heart of a champion, despite whatever that you think of that cliche. That would be Boston. We've talked about a team in Orlando trying to learn how to close out a series, trying to learn how to close out a game. That's what they're going to be trying to do on Sunday. You'll be there. You were at Game 6. You've been at a lot of different parts following the Celtics all throughout the playoffs. What do you think happens in Game 7?
This one is really hard. It's really hard to make a prediction because you have really 2 of the most diametrically opposite teams that you could possibly have. You mentioned the Celtics with the experience, with the championship ring that Paul Pierce so kindly pointed out to the Magic fans as he walked off the court last night, touching his ring finger and showing it to them. Now, that doesn't mean anything when you step on the court in Boston in Game 7. But look, if Orlando is able to get the kind of game out of Dwight Howard that they got in Game 6, and actually maybe even get a little bit more out of him because he only had one field goal attempt in the fourth quarter. If they get that, if they get at least a decent shooting game from either Rashard Lewis or Hedo Turkoglu, they didn't get one from either in Game 6, they have a very good chance to win. But, at the end of the day, the Celtics are still the champions. They know that. They're going to play with swagger. To me, it comes down to Orlando's ability and their ability to keep their composure and the Celtics' fatigue. Those are going to be the two factors that determine this game.
And we know what happened last year in the Eastern Conference semis when Paul Pierce outdueled LeBron James. Well, LeBron had more, but Paul Pierce had 41 en route to victory and moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll see if those legs and everything else part of the Celtics and see what he can do in Game 7. Ken Berger, thank you very much. Enjoy Game 7. We'll talk to you on Monday to preview the conference finals.
Sounds good, Jay.
All right, folks, for more on either of the Game 7s coming your way on Sunday, be sure to stay with CBSSports.com. For Ken Berger, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.